Alright, hey guys, welcome back. This is Brandon with, we're calling the channel Crypto Trades right now. No idea, just a random name I picked. But, doing a video here, an update to my Bitcoin video the other day. This is going to be a bit of an experiment. You can hear my AC on in the background. It finally got warm enough that fans in my house AC were not able to keep up with my servers and my miners. So I'm having to blast my AC. So I'm sorry about all the background noise. It's going to be worse than normal this time. Alright, so what I've got here pulled up is our current Bitcoin chart. Now, I've been looking for, I've been thinking there's going to be a rejection in this area, this little red box that I drew back a while back, just shy of the prior all-time high. And we're getting a little bit of a sell-off here. Who knows if that's going to turn into a larger sell-off or not. But irrespective, what I wanted to go over is I think that this cycle is going to be different than last cycle. I don't think it's going to be drastically different. I don't think that we're not going to have pullbacks and all that type of stuff. But I do think the interactions and some of the things we were looking for are indeed going to be different and are going to be changing. So we're going to probably need to update our plans dynamically based on what we see going on. That's kind of why I'm addressing this. I just want to share what I see going on because I think it's going to require us to do a small pivot in some of our strategies, or at least my strategies, what I had planned to do. All right, so this is the main Bitcoin chart. Let's look at the 3-day here. It's been a big parabolic move. We've spiked up into my danger zone. We've just now come back out of it on a small time frame, 4-hour. Looks like a double top forming there. You know, it's still sitting on support of this trend line here that we have drawn in. So it may bounce back off of that. You know, I don't really know. But if I go back, you know, one of my main indicators is these moving averages. We're just so far separated from 50, 120, 200-day moving averages here. I still just see us coming back. What's really nice is that it looks like if we do get a sell-off in the next few days, this line that we've been watching is going to be right between the 50 and 120, which would be a pretty good level, honestly, for a nice healthy pullback. But let's go to the BLX. Here's why I think things are going to be different this time. All right, so let's start with where we're at currently in this cycle. And I hate the way that trading view like anchors stuff. Well, I'm going to do this so I can move it around. I don't know if I'm... All right, so currently, what is today? Let's move this measured bar here. Oh, one thing I want to address is, oh, I forgot the name of somebody in our Telegram group, maybe Ben, brought up to my attention, you know, are you measuring top down or bottom up? And normally on moves like this, if I'm using the SMA to kind of give me a take profit area, I'll measure from the bottom up because I want to see how far we've separated from the moving average, what sort of percentage, okay, thanks, go away. What sort of percentage that we've had a move off of here, and that'll tell me, you know, that kind of helps me with some scaling out of my positions on specifically on equities. Now with Bitcoin, the moves get so massive that the numbers from bottom up look ridiculous. It's measuring from top down is actually a little bit easier for me because it tells me the amount of correction that would have to happen to bring it back to that moving average. And the numbers are smaller that way, right? So you can have a humongous gain, but it's a much smaller number for you know, a loss coming back down to the side. Now, all right. So we got up to what? Let's see here. What's today? The 25th. 25th of November. We reached a high today of about I'm just gonna say 500. So we're 198 days in from the halving event, and we're up 127% total. Now we did have this liquidity crisis that caused a bigger sell-off. We probably would have been more in an uptrend here, more, you know, we would have been more sideways here than this huge sell-off. So we might have been a little bit higher coming in. But nonetheless, in this cycle, we're 198 days in, and we're up 127%. Let's go back to last cycle here. And what I want to draw in is where we were and where we are now, 198 days in and 125%. Is that right? 125, 198. So I have to bear with me. I'm going to go back and forth. 198, so 197, yeah, 127%. All right, so we're 127% in. Now, I'm gonna put my DXY on here too. I still think this is relevant. No, not everybody agrees with me, but that's okay. If we all agreed, we'd all be robots and life would be boring. All right, oh man, this thing's so small now. Is this how I can, okay. TVC is fine. Doesn't matter who I get it from. All right, so I'm gonna draw it in green because dollars are green, dollar bills, y'all. All right, so I still think that because of the strength of the dollar on the last cycle and then the decrease in strength, I do think this somewhat affected. It definitely affected, you know, where people wanted to put their money, speculative assets or safe assets, so forth and so on. So I do think that has an impact. But notice, if we overlay just in this little blue box very simply here, where we were last cycle, so we very, very quickly came close to the all-time high and then had a super quick rejection. Obviously, that didn't happen this time. We've been up hovering much closer to the all-time high far longer than this. You know, we were only, you know, within say 10% of the all-time high, or you know, some small measure for, you know, 48 hours, right? And we've been there much longer. Plus, we've had a bigger overall move, and it's been further in the cycle. So we were well deep into the correction and recovery last cycle. We haven't even had that correction yet. So I think we're definitely looking at a hybrid of these two areas here. So we had, you know, this whole area here is what we've been watching, and all of us have been expecting us to get some sort of rejection versus the all-time high, and then come back to test either this key swing high level or the 120-day SMA or key trend line, or whatever, however you want to measure what we're going back to, draw down 30%, however you want to measure that. You know, nonetheless, a lot of people have been expecting us to get initial rejection here, come back to test some support level, and then finally break through. I still think that's going to happen, but I think it's going to be different interactions. I think we're probably, given that we've been testing that high for this whole area here, my guess as to what happens is that we might actually peak above it just a little bit. You know, Jordan's been saying 21,000, and he might be really astute for that. So we break up here just above it. We're going to get, if we do break above it, we're going to get an initial pop, right? We're going to get a real quick pop above it. The sell-off is still coming, and I think because the move is even more exaggerated, we might get a bigger than a 30% sell-off. That's the other thing. I'm still looking at that level, that swing high level, but I won't be shy about scaling back into my position, 20, 25, 30%. I'll use all the levels. I will buy. I will start scaling in at every level I can see. That's a kind of a safe entry. So if it's 20, 25, 30%. If those coincide with the 120-day moving average and our swing high levels, I'll be more aggressive about adding when two or three of those things line up together. But I'll be all in at either the swing high level, 40% down, or the 120-day SMA, whichever of those happens to come first. You bet I'll be back in all the way, and I'll just be hoping it doesn't go down anymore at that point. So that's what I think is going to happen. And let's go back to the chart here and see a little bit more of why I think that's going to happen that way. And the impact it's going to have. I'm sorry. The other thing is the impact this is going to have. So measuring from top down, we need a 36% sell-off to reach back to the 120-day SMA, which is like my key, you know, indicator. Earlier we needed a 22%. I do want to show this the other way because I did not think of this. So yeah, so it's up 29%, and we needed a 26% sell-off. All right, so that's not super significant of a difference there, 22% sell-off. But we need a 36% sell-off. Now, if we measure it the other way, as somebody astutely pointed out, they made a liar out of me about how I was measuring this on this graph. It's 56% up. So we're up 56%, and we need a sell-off of 36% to get back to the 120-day SMA. We need a sell-off of, actually we're just slightly, well, close enough. A 30% sell-off was put us still right back at that swing high level, which is a great level. I think we end up somewhere between here. I probably might not go all in just here, just in case we do continue down, but you better believe if we do something like this, we dip down and we come back up, I'm going all in right above that level. If we never came out, that's okay. If we get some sort of like resumption looking entry, I'm back all in. I'm not going to mess around with this sell-off trying to get cute and get to bottom. But if we're coming into this and we are just selling off like a freight train, right? I'm not going to go all in right here. I'm going to scale in. I'm going to be adding. I'll probably be adding here, be adding here. I'll be adding a good bit here, but I'll be waiting too, because if we hit that 120 day, I'll be adding there. And if somehow we get down miraculously this 200-day, somewhere on this level, I'll just be like, all right, I'm done, I'm all in. And if it drops any more, then we can reevaluate. We got a problem on our hands, and maybe we should rethink our life. But no, I don't think that's going to happen though. All right. So yeah, currently we need a 36% sell-off. Now, the big thing is that this changes how we play the alt season. So right now, are we getting a little bit of a sell-off? I see some chatter in the Telegram group. Let me go down to a low time frame here. I'm gonna go down to the 1 hour. Nah, it's still not. I mean, it's just doing its thing. Yeah, it's not like a mega sell-off. But let's see what the alts are doing right now. I did notice the alts are coming off earlier, so the alts are bleeding. I guess investors or retail is getting the sense that we're probably coming back down to what we've been saying. So maybe they're starting to exit. I don't know. So this is versus the dollar. Come on, Cardano, get back here. I'm all in right here. I don't care. If it's coming down like a freight train and we smack through and we go to 9, I don't care. I'm all in at 13 cents and I'll just be happy to get my staking reward down at 9 cents. I don't care. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely losing steam versus Bitcoin. Ooh, Link is interesting. Link is dropping through here. We'll see if we get that level. See what we can get out of Link here. I think I might have this trend line too high anyway, so maybe the trend line deserves to be. Yeah, I had that. That was just you know, it's not a solid trend line. I'm gonna even remove that thing because that's not. No, you know, I'm not. Just gonna what I'm gonna do is let myself know this is not a significant trend line. It's just a clone. All right. Whatever. Get the idea. I need to clone that other one. I need to make sure it's adjacent. Okay, but it's going to affect how we play the altcoins. And why do I say that? Why do I say that? I say that because if we go back to my long-term chart. All right. Remember we talked about this last video, the altcoins, how they interact with these, and the alts. They gain versus Bitcoin and bleed versus Bitcoin in different phases of this. So again, I think I talked about in the Link video. They're going to go. Some of them, they're not all going to pop at the same time. They're all going to have their little runs, and they're all going to get bid by different players at different times, depending on hype that's going on. But they'll get overheated and they'll come back down to earth. Get overheated and come back down to earth. It's going to happen over and over and over again. It's going to give us some good trading opportunities. But let's overlay. Let's get rid of the DXY. Let's overlay ETH BTC. And I want to be focused on our BTC ratios more than USD ratios as we get into further into alt season here. And really the reason for that is that we should be fully invested in Bitcoin after this next sell-off. There's no reason to be back in the dollar, honestly, in my opinion. This is a game of stacking sats and or trying to beat Bitcoin. So we're either we're trying to trade to get more Bitcoin, or we're trying to hold an asset that's going to beat Bitcoin. But there's no point in watching how they perform versus the dollar, because all we care about is beating Bitcoin, either getting more Bitcoin or beating Bitcoin, right? So I'm just going to be watching the Bitcoin charts now. So we noticed this right here. ETH bottomed out versus Bitcoin right as BTC was making a lot of headway. And we saw the same exact thing happen this last time, right? And then I said, as this gets rejected, ETH is not going to sell off so much. It does a little bit. I mean, it does. So the ETH to BTC ratio comes off, and so does ETH. ETH did sell off a good chunk here, right? But it's holding its own versus BTC here, which is what we really care about right now. But as this bottoms out and we make this recovery, it's not until right here we see that Ethereum is going parabolic. Now, what happened when Ethereum started going parabolic? Well, we took out the all-time high. That's clearly what happened here. When we took out the all-time high and broached above it, we got, it looks not, you know what, it looks not like a kid-friendly diagram. We got, sorry, I was distracted. So this event of taking out this all-time high is what drove all this interest in speculation, right? So everybody was rife to speculate when it looked like we were entering a speculative territory for Bitcoin. And even with this little bit of sell-off, all the mania was still there, and the money flowed from Bitcoin into Ethereum. You can see it there, that separation happened. I talked about that in our Telegram group a lot. But there's going to be two events. There's going to be events when altcoins simply appreciate versus Bitcoin. And then there's going to be events where altcoins separate from Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is selling off, and those funds, people that are taking profits from Bitcoin, aren't taking them and going into the dollar or some other fiat. No, they're going into other cryptocurrencies. So you see these separation events happen, and these are the ones I really, really want to play, right? We had this nice separation, and then Ethereum sold off versus Bitcoin while Bitcoin ramped. If you take and you sell your Ethereum right here and dump it into Bitcoin, that's the play I want to make. That's what I want to be involved in from this point forward, right? So my point in bringing all this up is that this is such a quick rejection that I don't think the market took seriously Bitcoin. And it wasn't, there's not as much buzz as there is today about it, but at this point, people weren't taking it seriously that it was going to break out to new all-time high. It was such a fast rejection, it was still kind of under the radar. But this interaction right here, there's so much time it's spent underneath here, and then breaking through. I think, again, what we're going to have, see right here we had three interactions really with the all-time high last time. We had this very, very quick run-up and rejection. Quick run-up and rejection, clear, just rejection, clear as day. And then here we fought with it and fought with it and fought with it and broke through, but then we broke down. This event is what happened when the alts started going bananas, right? And then we had our last breakthrough and off we went. And the alts were already in full season. You actually wanted to be in an alt to trade into Bitcoin right here, right after it broke and came back down. You want to be in altcoins shortly after Bitcoin makes its all-time high, and it's probably going to break down below it at some point. That's possibly the best time to be in the altcoins, and then to swap out back into Bitcoin. Okay. So the reason I bring all that up is, again, you look at where we're at right now. If I were to overlay the exact, I'm just going to draw it in here. You guys know what's happened, right? So we've flatlined a little bit, and we had a little bit up, a little bit down, broke out, did that little weird thing where we came back down and came back up, right? And now we're like going parabolic, right? So this has been kind of roughly, the chart that we've had. You guys get the idea, right? So we had, all right, let's redraw it here. Flatlined, we broke out a little bit, came back down, and then we went just absolutely parabolic. And we've been here longer this cycle than last cycle. I think what's going to happen is we're going to continue to mess around with this area and maybe break through our current all-time high and then come back down. But if you look at the timing of this, right, we're expecting this cycle to be shorter. So in order for this cycle to be shorter, from here on out, what we need to do is get some sort of rejection, whether we break the all-time high or not. We're going to need to get a rejection, test that line, and then go ahead and break through, right? And in order for us to beat this time frame, so that means that's really two interactions on the upside, here and here, with the all-time high. I hope I'm making sense. Let me go back to where we're at. Let me go back to our active Bitcoin chart. Draw that in. How that has to look. I just want to. I think you guys get the point I'm making here. But yeah, in order for us to be shorter this cycle, which I think is going to happen, but I don't want to put a thesis out there that it absolutely has to be. But I bet we do some sort of breakdown to this level now, and then break out, and never have a third breakdown below. I think the second attempt at it, we're going to break and hold. That's going to change what we do with altcoins, right? So we're going to need to be getting positioned into altcoins as this is coming down this time, and not wait for another, breakdown. So that's the main thing I wanted to bring up. Now, certainly we could be in a lengthening cycle of some type, and that could change. However, I don't think it's going to hurt us to make sure that we're well positioned into altcoins on this sell-off, given how this all played out last time anyway. Sorry, I had to get back. I was all types of lost on my chart. Yeah, again, so how this played out. So we bottomed out really versus Bitcoin on the alts throughout all this. So it's not like we don't have time. We still have some time to make sure that we don't want to FOMO in to altcoins or anything like that. But a lot of us sold a good chunk of all kinds of our, you know, Bitcoin, whatever, right here is Bitcoin made this approach, right? Expecting both Bitcoin and altcoin, everybody to slide back down, and then us to reposition back in. But we're definitely, I don't think this part is going to happen next time. I think what we're looking at is, again, we've been here longer. I think we're going to drop down, test, fight with, and break through. And that's going to change the dynamics of how much time we have to get an altcoin. It's going to shrink. It's going to shrink this amount of time that we have left to get positioned in altcoins. Because if that happens and altcoins start, they're going to start to break out like right through here a little bit earlier. I hope I'm making sense. Looking at these charts, I mean, we still have time, and we don't. I'm starting to think now. I'm going to get people to FOMO in. I don't want people to FOMO into altcoins. It's not the time to buy right now today, right? So we all think Bitcoin is coming down. But the other thing that's going to change, let me just go over this real fast. I'm starting to lose my thoughts, so I want to wrap this up. I don't want to keep this video in a reasonable time. Okay, the point I wanted to make here too is if what we're dealing with right here, if we break our prior all-time high and then come and sell off, the other big change that's going to happen is that this is going to cause a lot more media buzz, right? There's going to be a lot of buzz, and that's going to get the average consumer, the average, you know, retail eToro, Robinhooder come flooding in the gates. And I think this sell-off in Bitcoin might actually serve more of that what we saw in that other chart where alts are appreciating while Bitcoin is fading. That might happen. So if we get a rejection here, we never break it and we sell off, okay, we're good. We're gonna we get repositioned back into Bitcoin and be looking at the alts we want to be positioned back into for the ride, right? However, again, if we break the all-time high and then come back down, that's going to change the dynamic. It's going to change both, you know, in a lot of ways. And if we go back to our long-term chart here and go look at once more last cycle and put up this ETH BTC, what I'm saying is that event of breaking the all-time high, that's what starts that speculative frenzy, right? So if we do break it, there's a chance that we get that this sell-off, we get this disconnect that happened here earlier, right? We go ahead and get this disconnect now, and then alts are appreciating while Bitcoin is selling off. So basically we could skip this, like pretend this never happened on last chart. This is what could happen. Pretend this never happened. What might happen this time is that we consolidated down here, we broke up, we actually break through, and then we start to sell off. So if we break through and then we start to sell off, I would be looking for BTC to sell off while alts are going bananas. So another way to play this, I'm going to be really aggressive about buying altcoins with just getting myself positioned back into ADA. Well, I never sold any ADA. Back into Link and ETH and adding to my ADA on this. As soon as we break above here, I'm going to be looking for every opportunity I can to get back into those alts, because I'm thinking that as we sell off, these alts are going to pump, right? So that's the other big change that might happen this cycle, right? So if we do, in any form or flavor, break the prior all-time high, I'm going to be looking to be far more aggressive about buying alts even as Bitcoin's coming down, right? Or actually, I want to be in the alts before Bitcoin comes down. And then we might get a disconnect, and then a really great opportunity. If that does happen and Bitcoin breaks down and we test some good levels down here, we're going to get a great opportunity to just simply straight trade our alts right into Bitcoin for the next phase of this move here. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. So I'll be in a Telegram group. I'll be active about watching, and seeing what happens with this Bitcoin price action that we've got going on here. It's still, it's fighting. Bitcoin is fighting a lot more than last cycle with trying to break through here. If we go like to the 8-hour time frame, right, we've been up underneath here pretty close for a lot longer than that last cycle. That last cycle we came in hot and heavy and then we're sold off immediately. This one, we're still, I mean, it still could definitely do that, right? But we'll see. I think the dynamics are going to change. All right, it's 25 minutes. I've been talking way too long. Like and subscribe if you like the content. If you don't like the content, have a great day. You know, wish everybody well. Bye.